Welcome back. Last week, some TikTok users saw a message when they logged into the app. It was a request to call their representatives in Congress to fight a potential TikTok ban. Here with in-depth analysis of what this all means and what's at stake is CNET Managing Editor Nick Wolny. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming and putting this in perspective for us, explaining what this actually means. So is TikTok actually on the chopping block? Like, do you actually think this is going to happen?
Well, they never left the chopping block, really. You know, what's important for consumers to understand is that TikTok is owned by a parent company called ByteDance. That is a China-based company. And so in China, those companies are subject to a law called the National Intelligence Law. And what it means is that a private company must make its data available to the Chinese government at any time. Now, TikTok's CEO was on Capitol Hill testifying recently and said, no, we've never shared any of our data with the Chinese government, but there's a law in that country saying that they have to be available to do that. And so that's sort of the thing that is this overarching security concern and is driving a lot of the conversation in the United States about whether or not we should ban TikTok.
And there's also a lot of conversation about TikTok actually requiring users to say where they live and then urging them to call their Congress people.
Right.
And this debate about how it's controlling the narrative and controlling politics.
Right.
The critics say.
Yeah, and most recently, there was a full screen disclaimer. It came out last week urging users to call Congress, to call their representative. Rudabeh, I hate that they did this. I hate that they did this, right? This is propaganda, and I'm 100% comfortable saying that on camera. And just in terms of the messaging, there were several errors here. One of the things that was said was that Congress is planning a total ban on TikTok. That's not true. Congress is advancing a bill to force a divestiture of TikTok, of the U.S. arm of TikTok. President Trump was trying to do this via executive order a few years ago as well, if we remember. It's what started this narrative. And what that will do is it will give TikTok time to divest part of its business that won't be subject to that national intelligence law, right? So it's not an outright ban. If they end up not doing it, then it's a ban. There was also First Amendment language in there, and you know the Constitution protects you when it comes to government censoring you, not when it's a private company. So you're still able to create your vertical video selfies, you know, of the sandwich that you were eating for lunch. You're just not going to be able to post it on TikTok if that's what happens. So yeah, a lot of concerns
there is a lot of confusion about what censorship actually is. If it's a private company, it's not censorship. They can do whatever they want.
Right.
And then there's a lot of debate too about young people getting their news from TikTok and social media and kind of believing what's there, and that's how they grew up, you know, getting their news.
Yeah. People don't read articles as much as they used to. They'll read these video essays of people taking a screenshot and then green screening in front of it and kind of doing an analysis of, or an interpretation, for like commentary on what the actual reporting is or what the actual news is. But you can't deny that TikTok has become this major force. In the tech space, you know, the commentary is that it's kind of a failure on the part of these US tech companies that they have not been able to come up with something so addicting and competitive. I love the TikTok algorithm. I watch one cute dog video and I get served another 10 cute dog videos in 5 minutes, and most TikTok users would agree, and none of the US-based tech companies have been able to replicate that. So there's some concerns there as well. You know, Biden said that he would support the TikTok ban if it went through, but the Biden administration also joined TikTok last month in order to court young voters, young users. So it's a tricky situation, something for people to figure out. The story
not going away anytime soon, but thank you for breaking it down for us. Good to see you.
Likewise.
And you can find more information about CNET by going to kcalnews.com and clicking Seen on TV. We'll be right back.